Yep.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Ooh, that was a hard laugh, girl. I hear you. That was
Oh
menacing
shit.
a little bit.
She done cammed up. Oh oh. Don't hate. Don't hate. Don't hate. Participate. Participate.
Hey,
Participate.
listen.
Oh, hold on, y'all.
My
Hey
bad,
y'all.
y'all. My bad.
Welcome to tonight's reaction video. I'm going to be reacting to true crime that involves farming and farmers. Let me see. Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited, but I just came straight from outside. I was like, I'm late. I'm running late.
But we
All right.
agreed on that. Like,
I was running
it's
late.
a yes to the question I asked you before you went live, though, right? You good on it's a go?
Yes.
All right, it's a go. Shout out to the chat. You heard me?
I'm so sick of that.
We on go.
All right, y'all. So hopefully, this is a blind reaction. My husband's gonna do a blind reaction. He's gonna react with me. He hasn't seen. I don't know how he gonna react with me trying to
y'all gonna get
game.
audio from Honey.
You gotta see how you gonna watch the video.
I'm gonna listen to it. Audio.
See, this why.
Oh, you could cam me up. Oh, I left the
Come see
tripod.
right here,
I
listen.
left the tripod upstairs, and I'm not going up there.
Hey, Kendi. Hey,
Not
I'm
going
just
there.
in here.
My bad.
Hopefully, I don't have no issues on this one. Oh yes, this one look like it's gonna play perfect. Okay. Let me share my screen with y'all. I want to do a reaction. The Elaine Massacre, true crime. What was the title? I put true crime, blind reaction,
Blind reaction to true crime, farm related true crime.
farming while black, true crime.
This is why you want me on cam. My facial expressions be making you laugh.
That face was a mess.
Was it? My face ain't never a mess. I'm so
screen.
handsome, girl. You better know. Here,
I know.
Prince Charming stole my image. That was a bar. You had to let it sink in before you responded. I get it.
All right, y'all. We queued up. We ready to go. This is the Elaine Massacre, the bloodiest racial conflict in U.S. history, dark history. I wanted to try to do it last night, but I was having technical difficulties and the kids needed my attention. So I was like, I'm going to just reschedule and just do it on Juneteenth. So as June 19th, Liberation Day, starts to wind down, why not go ahead? I forgot I was even cammed up right there. I'm like looking at the why not go ahead and share this video with y'all and just do a little reaction, why not, to some true crime. So I'm gonna mute myself and I'm gonna start the video.
Named for the blood that ran through America's cities during months of racial unrest. African American soldiers had returned home from the Great War, World War I, to a country. It was called the Red Summer of 1919, named for the blood that ran through America's cities during months of racial unrest. African American soldiers had returned home from the Great War, World War I, to a country still teeming with discrimination. And in their quest for civil rights, tensions between blacks and whites reached a tipping point. Deadly race riots broke out in over 24 cities, but one rural town, Elaine, Arkansas, would become the epicenter for the bloodshed. The violence there, lynch mobs, torture, indiscriminate murder, was so horrific it would go down in history not as a race riot, but as the Elaine Massacre. This is history. Dark history. During World War I, more than 350,000 African American soldiers enlisted to serve. But while they fought for democracy abroad, their own country, America, was still not willing to see them as equal.
White supremacy was very mainstream at this time in the United States. Basically, a lot of African Americans were seeking to obtain their full rights and equality in the United States, and violence was often used by mobs of whites.
Tensions reached a boiling point in the summer of 1919. Race riots broke out in dozens of cities across the country. But in the rural...
Sorry, y'all, pause, right? I just realized this is 1919, the summer of 1919, June 19th. Oh my God, I'm throwing. Anyway, so this is, they didn't even want to call it a race riot. They just wanted to call it a complete massacre. So here we go, y'all. We're going to pick back up.
In the rural South, something even more menacing was taking form. There, slavery existed in all but name. In a system called sharecropping, farmers provided landowners with labor for a share of crops produced. But the system was rigged. Sharecroppers were often kept in perpetual debt.
One black sharecropper raised $500 worth of cotton, and his landlord told him, "Yeah, but you used $697 worth of supplies, so you owe me money."
Everyone who has any power at this point is working to make sure they keep African American laborers tied to the land.
Pause. That's real facts. They didn't even want to. He didn't even leave them with money for money for nothing, like to pay the utilities. Like that's the okay. I really want to watch it. Get into. I'm gonna watch it.
For roughly 50 years, the system went unchecked. In the fall of 1918, a black man from Arkansas had had enough. Robert Hill had decided to form a union to represent sharecroppers. It was a dangerous decision, and one that would set off a chain of events involving mass murder, torture, and a landmark Supreme Court ruling. But first, he would need to organize.
In his message, Hill was pretty simple and direct. Why is it that we cannot have fair payment for the honest and hard work we do?
Despite the inherent risk involved with challenging whites, World War I veterans and other black sharecroppers became card-carrying members of the Progressive Farmers and Household Union of America.
He believed that by paying dues, these members could have the services of lawyers and sue plantation owners for cotton that had been stolen from them and false numbers that had been placed in the plantation stores' books.
On the night of September 30th, 1919, Union members gathered in Elaine to discuss their legal plan.
This is in Phillips County. It's basically just a crossroads at this time, a road, a few houses, a railroad siding, no streetlights. There's also a one-room wooden church, and that's where the Union met. Expecting that they might have trouble, the Union posted a guard of about 6 men. They had shotguns and rifles. The meeting's taking place, and while they're having this discussion, a car rolls up the road.
2 white men were in the car.
By one account, one of the white men in the car said, "You all get away from there." And shortly thereafter, a shot was fired.
Though it remains unclear who fired first, a barrage of gunfire broke out. One of the white men was killed almost instantly. The rumor of a black uprising spread in a matter of hours. The idea of a sharecropper rebellion conveniently played into the hands of landowners who did.
All right, sorry, y'all. I have to stop it right there because we didn't lead up to the idea, just the idea of a sharecropper uprising, a farmer union uprising against the plantation owners. It then led to everything that's about to transgress. So I just want to stop, put that into perspective because we here. 1919, it's June 19, 1919. We going back.
Want their sharecropping practices scrutinized. They did all they could, as quickly as they could, to sound alarms that black farmers were out for white blood.
The story gets magnified that the town is under attack, that blacks are killing people in the streets, that there is a revolution afoot.
The sharecroppers quickly formed self-defense groups, expecting repercussions over the death of a white man. But they could not have predicted just how severe the response would be. The following morning, under the watchful eye of Sheriff Frank Kitchens and his deputies, posses of white men were sent to find, detain, and kill the offenders.
When you have an out-of-control mob just being told there's a Negro insurrection going on, that mob's being very indiscriminate in its violence.
Not just a Negro insurrection, but a Negro insurrection of farmers. The farmers then lost their minds. They was like, oh shit, the farmers tripping. Y'all, they got guns and they done came from off the porch. It's up.
You see houses being attacked, black-owned homes being ransacked.
The black school was burnt. Notable families were killed.
Black women and children have to go literally hide out in the woods because many of these people are indiscriminately shooting at African American women and their children.
Black veterans and other African Americans took up arms in self-defense.
This no doubt just feeds into the mob fervor. The fact that, oh, they're daring to shoot back at us. This must really be an insurrection.
One historian has identified more than 20 different killing sites where African Americans were being killed.
There are stories that mob members were taking souvenirs, such as ears or fingers from the bodies of fallen African Americans.
One of the leading black families of the county, they weren't even in the town. They had just received a brother back from the French front. They are pulled from a train, put in the back of a car, and they are stabbed, shot, and their mutilated bodies are left on the side of the road.
Within 2 days, 500 U.S. troops were sent to quell the supposed black uprising.
They don't find any blacks killing or shooting down the streets. In fact, Colonel Jinks reports that the city is filled with hundreds and hundreds of white men with guns. Many of the individuals who were hiding in the thickets were former soldiers who had just gotten back from the war. And when they see the army troops come, they rush out, believing that the army troops are there to assist them. The army believes that these people are rushing toward them to attack, and they're cut down by machine gun fire.
Although the exact number will never be known, a recent estimate suggests 237 black men, women, and children were killed. There was an immediate demand for justice, but not for the black lives lost. 5 white men were also killed in the fighting. Hundreds of African Americans were rounded up and put in jail, and when the jail was full, they detained the rest in a schoolhouse.
While they are detained, there is torture going on.
The goal? To elicit false confessions of a black uprising.
They whipped the men, whipped them for long periods of time. They stuffed formaldehyde up their noses, and they stripped them naked and shocked them with electrical charges. They did this until they confessed to the conspiracy.
Robert Hill escaped to Kansas, but his peers back in Arkansas were not as lucky. 122 indictments were issued, and trials quickly started.
The men were brought into the court in chains. They weren't allowed to consult with their defense attorney. The defense attorney rarely interjected, and then the all-white juries started delivering guilty verdicts. In one case, the guilty verdicts came back in 2 minutes.
It's also important to point out that there were mobs of people outside who were demanding black blood. Governor
Y'all, I'm about to pause and talk. And my baby just busted in like, oh, so there you are. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. All right. This is, I have to take a minute to like give y'all a minute. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all can definitely go back and watch the video in full without me reacting to it and whatnot. But for me, it's like, okay, we come in. First of all, they was tripping out that the farmers union was like, no way, no how, y'all are tripping. They got word that they was meeting up on a black farm to talk about being able to we got to do something. The man, we made $500. The man charging us $637 for the sharecropping. It's just too much. They couldn't stand the idea of losing these sharecroppers. So that game is super loud. I gotta talk super loud.
Thank you for saying that, because I know.
they didn't came up with, they didn't fabricate it. Look at how the rumors go. They didn't fabricated this elaborate idea that the sharecroppers are about to raid the town and kill all the white people. And so they struck first. And they started going for the prominent black families. They didn't snatched one prominent family off the men, the black man of the prominent family, off the train and killed them. So, and this is in Arkansas. So for these people to have, they want blood. They running through the streets like, we want black blood for what they did. Well, what did they do? All they did was say, pay me. You know, let me keep my pay. Let me earn my money and keep something. A little bit of something. Be fair. A massacre over fairness in farming and agriculture is what we have here, is what I'm seeing. So it's real. This is Liberation Day. I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit. What they say, they made them confess. Even after they made them confess, they still wanted blood. All right, here we go. We're gonna dive back in.
Guilty verdicts. In one case, the guilty verdicts came back in 2 minutes.
It's also important to point out that there were mobs of people outside who were demanding black blood. Governor Bruff maintained that at some point these people would be killed, but they would have to have been killed justly.
The governor lived up to his word when among the 87 black citizens charged with crimes, 12 were sentenced to death by electric chair. Despite the system being blatantly rigged against them, the convicted men had one unlikely beacon of hope: the American justice system. The trials of the Elaine 12 had been highly publicized. The NAACP took notice and stepped in with legal help for the 12. For 4 years, the team faced a series of legal setbacks and advances until in 1923, the case made its way to the Supreme Court in what is now known as Moore versus Dempsey. There, the defense argued that the original trials had been mob-dominated and the black prisoners had been denied their constitutional rights. In a landmark decision, the court agreed.
The good that comes out of this is that the NAACP sees for the first time that it can win in the Supreme Court, that things don't always fall along the color lines.
The 12, subjected to torture, injustice, and litigation travesty, were at long last exonerated and released in January 1925. They might have escaped with their lives, but there was nothing that could reverse the pain and devastation felt by the black community in Phillips County, and no way to unsee the ungodly truth that American men, alongside the American government, were complicit in a massacre of American citizens on American soil.
We as a nation have grown and we continue to grow. We don't need to pretend as if we've always had everything figured out. But if we are to do justice to who we are as Americans, we've got to own all of it.
So that was crazy. That was wild. I just want to say shout out and much respect to Phillips County black agriculture, where it's been, where it's gone, and where it's at now. I'm gonna have to do some research and look into that. That'll be a real interesting topic to talk about. But yeah, y'all, you know, it's very important that on this day we remember that we have to own a lot of things, and one of the things we have to own in this country is the face of agriculture, and the loss of black agriculture within that dynamic, and black farmers' access to the economy, equitable economy, and just being able to attain that wealth. Because as you can see, it must have been some wealth in big black ag if the mob came a calling when they was like, this ain't it, we need to keep our cash, you know. So That's it, you guys. That was my reaction to the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want y'all to enjoy the rest of y'all's Juneteenth. Y'all gotta get ready for work tomorrow. I gotta go back and holler at the man. We gonna be out here keeping the grind going, keeping the farm afloat, and making it happen. Peace.
With
See y'all
love.
on the other side.
With love.